sometimes life teaches us presence in the most unexpected ways. Not through quiet meditation cushions, but in the middle of grit, sweat, and struggle. Welcome back, listeners, to this episode of the Mindful Living Podcast with your host, Sana. And our guest today knows this deeply. From walking through heartbreak and loss to training in martial arts and pushing through Spartan races, he has learned that mindfulness isn't just about sitting still, it's about moving forward with discipline, even when life feels unbearable. Today, we are going to explore what everyday mindfulness in motion really looks like. Like how the body can become a teacher, how pain can carve out resilience, and how discipline might just be the most radical form of hope. So, let's step into this conversation together, not as a story of perfection, but as a lived journey of presence, perseverance, and possibility. So, listeners, meet my incredible guest, DK Kang. So, DK, welcome to this show, and I'm really, really honored to have you here with us.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on your show.
Um, DK, I mean, martial arts. When we talk about these art, you know, of basically people associate with warrior. We talk about warrior mindset, whether it's in your personal life or professional life. So, very I think this is very rarely talked about or discussed about in the wellness circles, martial arts and mindfulness. So because you have trained as a martial artist for years, in what ways does martial arts teach us mindfulness beyond just the physical moves?
Yeah, so martial arts teaches us mindfulness because, I mean, for one, traditional martial arts, there's a lot of meditation, but also there's also when you look at martial arts, it's very difficult, and not everybody does martial arts. Uh, there's a progression. You start with white belt, and then you progress into being a black belt. But that doesn't happen overnight. There's a lot of time dedication to it, and there's also there's a correlation to life because life isn't just like linear. There's a lot of ups and downs. There's a lot of challenges, a lot of struggles. With martial arts, every new movement you make or learning, or even if like you're sparring, when punches and kicks are being thrown at your face, it's kinda like life. Sometimes punches and kicks are being thrown at your face, with challenges, and it's the same as how do you respond to those punches and kicks, so to speak, in real life, but also in martial arts, and that teaches, like, your brain on how to overcome these fears, because when someone's trying to punch you in the face, there's this fear in you like, "Oh, do I just, like, run away, or do I face this challenge up ahead?" And that's the same with life because we can't run away from our own our own struggles, our own challenges in life. They're gonna happen no matter what. I mean, there's no one coasts through life like an easy life. We're gonna grieve, we're going to go through health challenges, whatever it may be. And so for me, like, my wife went through a health challenge last year. She was diagnosed with breast cancer, and then a month later, I got laid off my job, and so, that's it's a big challenge, and for me, like, I was stressed, I was overwhelmed, and I felt stuck because, like, these things I have no control over, but at the same time, I had control over my mind, and so I actually wrote a book about transforming your mind. It's called Mindset Metamorphosis, and
Okay.
I wrote it during my wife's cancer journey, and, I talk about different, adding movement into your life because sometimes you have to move forward. You can't just be stuck in that place of where you think life is happening. And so, yeah, martial arts, it definitely helps train your mind to look at different perspectives, different options that you might have, whenever those punches and kicks are being thrown at you.
Wow, that's very well put, DK. I think not only technicality, but it's such a beautiful analogy, when it comes to life, how uncertain, unpredictable it is, and how sometimes we get some unexpected punches. Um, and it definitely puts a lot of emphasis on the pressure, the presence that we have, or our mind has that capability, that innate capability, but it needs a lot of training in there, a lot of discipline, consistency. So you mentioned about your you know wife's health condition last year when she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Then you faced layoff, and these are life changing events. Um, I mean, from all the aspects, and it needs a lot of mental strength to kind of course through these situations. And then you also have been through debt, through burnout. So how did discipline, like build one decision at a time for you, keeping you from breaking down completely, DK?
Yeah, I mean, I'm human, so there's days where, yeah, it almost felt like it was too much. But for me, I had to lean in on my faith. Like for me, a daily morning routine that I have is I read the Bible. Um, and a scripture kind of comes to my mind is it's in Philippians. It says, Philippians 4, it says, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition, with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." And so for me, I have to go back to like my foundation and just continue to read God's word. Because do not be anxious about anything. And for me, I'm human. I could be anxious about, being in debt, about my wife's health conditions, about trying to find a job. But at the end of the day, if I just not be anxious and just think about, okay, God's gonna take care of it, and He has.
Mhm.
Like, God has provided in many ways with people donating money to us to help pay for, our living expenses. And people helped us, he's like, "I have got this job opportunity within my company, you should apply for it." And so but those, like, things helped me because not only was I disciplined and still applying for jobs and things like that, but it was the community around me as well.
Okay.
Community is big because we're not here to do things by ourselves.
That's really inspiring, DK. That's really inspiring. I think um not only it's a metaphor. I think of course, it's an integration of faith and discipline and mindset, but then at the same time it also says that God lives within us, through us. It's sometimes God speaks through strangers as well. So you never know what lies out there for you. So I think at these during these times, turbulent times, keeping that hope, that positivity, not blind positivity, but that practical positivity, perseverance, it really bears fruit for you.
Right. Mhm.
Okay, now I'll come to Spartan races and presence. Of course, personally, I'm not very much aware of Spartan racing, DK, but I would love to know from you what I know, that Spartan racing definitely demands a lot of endurance, grit, and focus. How do you bring mindfulness into a race, when your body is kind of, sometimes screaming at you to stop?
Yeah, in 2023, I ran the 50K Ultra, which is 60 obstacles. And for me, everything that went wrong. Like, I dropped a boulder on my toe, I tore my hands, I had a nosebleed, I
Oh,
carried way too many packs. But my mind, I kept saying, like, "Yeah, like, my toe hurts or my hands are bleeding or whatever it is." I kept telling myself, "I need to keep going. I need to finish this race," because it was a goal of mine that I set. But as I'm passing people that's doing the 50K with me, and so when I did it, there was about 600 people that went in. and about 300 people finish. So it's like a 50% fail rate. But
Wow.
as I'm passing these people, everybody kept saying, a lot of people kept saying, "Oh, this race is too hard. I can't do this," or
Mm.
I won't be able to finish this." And guess what? They weren't able to finish because you have to meet certain time for
Mm.
like an obstacle. There's a certain time frame you have to hit those. And so when you say something like that, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you say, "I can't do this," or "This is too hard," and it's
Yeah.
with life. When let's say for my wife's, breast cancer diagnosis, we could have easily said, "Well, why is this happening to us?" We actually
Mm.
reframed it to, "Well, why not us? And maybe this might be something that might help somebody else out." Yeah, it's terrible in the moment right now, but we're looking into the future and maybe like, yeah, this is happening to us because this is maybe there's a lesson, but maybe ultimately we need to help somebody else out there. There's 8 billion people in the world. We're not the only ones going to be struggling with cancer. We're not the only ones with struggling with job loss, and so it's the same with like a Spartan race. Like what you think, what you believe is what happens in the future. And so with a Spartan race, there's obstacles. Sometimes you have to climb over a wall. Sometimes you have to crawl under barbed wire. Sometimes there's just like a bunch of obstacles. But it's the same with life. Sometimes those obstacles happen in your life. Like, and how are you going to get over it, get under it, get through it, get around it, and come out on the other side better, stronger? Because those moments teaches us to have that resilience when we go through hard things. Because if we don't go through hard things, like we'll never learn about ourselves. We'll never have that compassion and empathy for other people that are going through things that are challenging in life. And so for me, I see it's a parallel because life isn't all happy and life isn't linear and we all go through something. We're all going to go through some sort of struggle in life. I mean that's a fact. It really is.
It is.
If you haven't gone through anything, you probably will eventually. You know.
Yeah, I think this shouldn't be taken as a kind of warning, but it's a it, it's like a guidance, and you're absolutely right, DK, that and Spartan racing. I think it's such a perfect metaphor for life. Um, and was there any specific moment, DK, if you can describe? Um, I mean, if you can, maybe if you can recall, like where mid race presence, not strength, carried you through.
Yeah, I think presence carried me through. I think just being grateful, um, like having a mindset of gratitude. Like I was just thinking, like there was times where I was climbing up a mountain, and then I looked over like on top of the mountain, and I'm just thinking like, wow, this is a beautiful moment just to be on like top of this mountain and just looking out all like as far as I could see all up, past the horizon. I'm just like nature is so beautiful. And
Yeah.
for me it was very humbling because I was like, wow, I'm on this like top of this mountain and I feel so small like compared to like the world. And just having that moment of, like, being in the moment of the presence, just having that gratitude, and just thinking that, "Wow, I could be, you know, 5 miles back and
Mhm.
struggling with something else." But being here at this moment and it goes same thing with life. I feel like when we're not grateful for the things that we take it for granted. Like,
Well,
I'm just thinking, like, the breath in our lungs or just the vision, just talking about that, my after my wife's cancer treatments and everything, my wife ended up
mm,
getting, cataracts, and so she had to get surgery, and so
okay.
she's like, "I'm just grateful for my eyesight to be able to see And like I don't want to take those things for granted. And so during that Spartan race, I was just in that moment, take a breath and just like in awe of where I am at and how I got here. Because training for a Spartan race is not it's not something you just do one time. And the same thing with life. You don't learn something by just doing it once, and so I think that present moment is it's always to be grounded in that present moment in anything. It could be spending time with family instead of like thinking about, oh, my son said something, but just enjoying that moment of, hey, I get to spend time with my son.
Yeah, yeah. I think, excuse me, gratitude. What you mentioned, I mean, first of all, it's such a grounding reminder. And secondly, the practice of gratitude. I think right now, this is such an important practice or approach or thought process or the way of living to be kind of reckoned or such a crucial need right now because for us, for humans, everything looks at like it's available at the tip of our fingers. um but sometimes I think these adversities or these situations, they really kind of shows us the reality in there, that they really help us realize that what you have, someone else may not have that. Maybe the house, your limbs, your eyesight, the life you're having, you are there, you're alive enough to live another day. Somebody else may not have that. So that's a very beautiful insight you shared. Take care.
Yeah. And I've heard this saying that, some people like hate their jobs or whatever, but
Mhm.
sometimes it's like the job that you hate is someone else's dream job. And that could be, anything in life, either the car that you drive or the house that you own. You might say like, "Oh, my house is falling apart," but then someone else is like, "Well, that would be my dream house," or "That would be my dream thing to have," or and so I think it puts having gratitude puts things into perspective, and that when you put things in perspective, 'cause then you stop wanting more because I feel like, especially here in the United States, everybody's like, it's very consumerism. Everybody wants more and trying to keep up with the Joneses, but if you just reflect on having gratitude for what you already have, it puts a lot of things in perspective.
Yeah, that is so right. That is so right. Um, and now it's a bit of a nuanced question, DK, around stillness and motion. Like many say that true mindfulness comes from stillness, meditation, or silence, like breath work. Do you think movement based mindfulness, like martial arts or Spartan racing, can ever replace that, or is something lost when we never stop moving?
I think there needs to be a balance. I think we live in a world where everything is fast paced. Everything is the thing at the it's everything is in your palm of your hands from your phone. I mean, you have internet on your phone now. I mean, everybody does now, and and everybody's so go 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 that we forget to pause, we forget to have those moments of silence to kind of decompress. I mean, even in the Bible talks about says, "Be still and know that I am God." Like, how often in today's society are we still and just to breathe, take deep breaths, and I talk about this in my book about meditation, about breath work, about just sometimes we just need to like stop electronics because we're so much bombarded with like what's on Facebook, what's on Instagram, and we're trying to keep up with that. And if we're always on the stimulation and trying to keep up, oh, I saw so and so do this on Instagram, like, oh, that's a great idea. I think we forget to just be still because when we're still, or if we're out in nature, there's these it's very calming, and it's also kind of rewires your mind to look at perspectives. Because when we're on the go all the time, we lose sight of what's important, and that might be what's important with the here and now. And so, yeah, I feel that there needs to be a balance, but I don't think it's ever going to replace with movement. I don't think it's ever going to replace stillness. I believe that we need to be still. I believe we need those quiet moments, and just to connect with ourselves again, instead of trying to connect with all this media out there.
Yeah, yeah. It's a very, very honest and interesting way to reframe it, I think, DK. And absolutely, I mean, stillness and movement, I think they are complementing each other. Like, there's a beautiful balance in there. And before we wrap up, TK, if someone who is listening right now, um, they are at rock bottom right now, where do they start? I mean, what's the very first tiny decision they should make?
Tiny decision that they should make. I think it's being mindful of, like, who you are, like, what your values are. Because everybody's different. Everybody has their own different values, and I believe, like, if you align your own values to what you're trying to do in life, um, I think that goes back to, like, a lot of self-reflection and a lot of self-care. I think so many of us are we forget about ourselves, and the question goes back to is like, well, if I don't take care of myself, how can I take care of someone else if I'm sick? And so, same thing for my wife. If I'm sick and my wife is sick, I won't be able to take care of her through her breast cancer. So there was a lot of things that I had to do, like I had to do journaling for myself. That's self care for me. For me, I need to exercise to clear my head. 'Cause, I mean, these are things that are valuable to me. And so, and get help. Find a mentor, find a accountability partner. That's something that I had to do as well. Because when you're doing all this negative self-talk, or you're saying like, "Oh, I'm not good enough," or things like that, sometimes you just need a sounding board, to someone to kind of bounce back at, and saying, "Hey, like, this is what I'm feeling. Like, what are your thoughts?" And so I think that's the first step. I mean, I gave several first steps there, but start small, take care of yourself. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of others.
That is that is 500% right. That is so true. Brilliant. And DK, if our listeners they would like to connect with you, what would be the easiest way?
Easiest way, if you go to my website, DKK, or sorry, DKKang.com, and if you sign up for my newsletter, I'm actually giving away the first chapter of my book, Mindset Metamorphosis, as a free download. And best way to contact me is through my email, is dk@dkkang.com. I'm trying to be more on social media, but the best way is through my email. And then if you want to actually pick up my book, it's on Amazon, Mindset Metamorphosis by DK Kang. I talk a lot about transforming your mind, and having a lot of mindfulness with breath work, with daily habits, with a morning routine. And so, yeah, if you want to pick up my book, that'd be great.
Super, super. I encourage all of our listeners to definitely try out. And for that, I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes for all of your listeners to for easy reference. And DK, thank you so much, first of all, for sharing your journey. Whether it's your wife's health, her recovery, your Spartan race or martial arts, your discipline, your faith. I think It shows that presence doesn't erase struggle, but it transforms how we walk through it. So, thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. And kind of one last thing you were saying about presence. There's a saying 80% is showing up and 20% is like effort. So, yeah, I mean, if we just show up day to day, life will, you'll start moving ahead. You'll start moving forward. So, thank you.
Mhm. That's a beautiful conclusion to this conversation. And listeners, thank you to all of you for devoting your time to this episode on the mindful living. If you are listening and if you are in a hard season, take this as a gentle reminder. One breath, one step, one decision at a time is enough because you don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep showing up, as DK said. And until next time, may you move with presence, live with courage, and find discipline that feels like grace. Thank you.